this amazing brick background. We are back with Hardknock Crypto, and I got fancy. And so Lenny was like, I'm going to get fancy too. And he went all out. He laid the brick in the wall just for this podcast.
You have no idea how long it took me. My hands are shredded after that, bro. Like, you have no idea.
I bet you hired like 6 uncles to just come and lay that brick and just put it in the wall, didn't you?
Or 2 of my sons. Come on, get to work, bro. That's why I had sons. Come on, time to fillet some brick.
Boom. I love it.
Oh, yeah. How you been? Long time no see.
It's March 2025. I'm pretty sure we did a kickback, hey, we're back episode in November 24. And so if we podcast every 4 months, then we're on schedule.
It sounds that way. Yeah, for sure. I was like, I'm like, okay, what should I'm going to bring my Yankee cap with me today. We're
why?
Well, because we're officially undefeated this season. Super psyched. Hey. Yeah, we're 1-0. So we only have, we won the first game of our season. I'm happy to be back in New York, right? We're my hometown, right?
Now you've been back 4, 5, 6 months?
And I've been back since June of 2024.
Really?
That's why, it's been real quick, man.
That's wild.
It's been crazy. But that's probably one of the reasons we haven't done the podcast in a while.
Yeah.
A lot of transition's been going on, right? You're in Dubai.
Yeah.
Right? But you were traveling quite a bit also.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's excited to be back and doing this again. Lots of things have changed. Lots of craziness going on.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I think crypto is one thing about crypto. It's never boring. It may not do what you want it to do, but it's never going to be boring. And it feels like, especially with Trump winning the election, it's just on overdrive, but the price is not doing what everybody thought. So, what do you know?
It's true. Well, listen, this is what I thought, right? I was like, oh, let's wait and see until the elections. I think that when we were coming into this conversation in November, it was really, who, depending on who won, was how the crypto market was going to move. I think those who were really bullish about crypto when President Trump won, we thought, man, this is it. We're just going to be all in. This is it. We're going to see this huge bull market and we're all going to be benefiting and it's going to be great.
We'll all be billionaires.
We'd all be billionaires, right? Exactly. Like my Doge was just going to go crazy, right? Like I was just going to be.
I mean, it's going crazy, but not your Doge.
Not my Doge, right? He did. However, unfortunately, the opposite happened, right?
Yeah.
It went up to about 103. It was down to 80.
Yeah.
And were you getting a bunch of text messages from people saying, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah. Especially when it hit 100. All the people that I've ever talked to about crypto are like messaging me like, oh, this is it. And I would say, and we can kind of transition into like, I think we look at the last year, but honestly, this is a reminder that nobody knows what's going to happen in the future.
Right.
Nobody, even the biggest names in crypto, Michael Saylor has no idea. Nobody, not your favorite crypto guy, knows what's going to happen because I thought we blasted off in November and I was like, strap in. This is going to be 125, 130 by February. And it went the other way. We got really excited. 108 people are locking in, and then it fell off a cliff. And it's mid 70s, and now we're back at 85, and people are freaked out.
Right.
So what do you do?
Well, I had my buddy. I wanted to shout out my buddy from Brian in New Jersey, who would text me, and he would say, "Hey, Brian." He would say to me, I got a text from him. He's like, what's going on? Right? Kind of like, what do you think? And when it hit, I believe it was probably in the 80s or something, I said, got a bug. Gotta
Yeah.
buy. Like, I was like, this is
Yeah.
great. Gotta buy. And I'm sure he was
Right.
probably like, this dude, like, out of his mind. But
Yeah.
I think our messaging has not changed at all during this entire whatever 1.5 years, right? It's always buy, 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 buy. I think the market keeps saying buy, 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 buy. I think it follows the trend that if we were even in traditional in the stock market, right? You want to buy when it's low, and so it went down, continue buying, right? And so um, it's been a crazy ride. I think a lot of people are. I think those who are new into the game are worried and concerned, and now more difficult for them to jump in. Um, I've I've always struggled, even from the early episodes regarding institutional investors. Like
Yeah.
I always said that it was really difficult for the those of us who are saying get to one coin
Yeah.
because the the ability to manipulate now is getting even stronger, right? With these
Mm,
larger institutional investors, right? And so um, I'm always a little bit of a conspiracy theorist when it comes to stuff like this, right?
for
And
sure.
yeah, listen, I can't move the market, but Michael Saylor can move the market. Now the guy's in the market, a lot of the big,
Mm,
the Black Rocks can move the market, how they want to move
yeah.
it. And so I think that we're probably in a much more traditional investment world today than we were 2 years ago, right? In
Mm,
terms of
oh yeah, for sure.
how the movement happened. So yeah, it's been interesting. But there's a bunch of people. I just want to call out a couple people like Elias out in Springfield, um, Corinne out in upstate New York, just a bunch of people who kind of reached out to us and we've talked to. And I know you must have
Yeah.
a bunch of people, but I want to just say, hey, what's up, everybody? Right.
What's up?
And
Hey,
yeah,
I think
just
it'd be
stick with
cool
us.
to I always like to look at the chart because numbers don't lie.
Sure.
And can you see this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So this is roughly the 1 year. Is it 6 month? Oh, okay. So we're back to about November. So yeah, this is the 6 month chart. And if you take a look at this right here, this is right before Trump won, right? And we were just living at like in the 60s. And then Trump won. It took off like a rocket. And we went all the way over into like mid-December. That was it touches 108, and then we drop back down, and we get back again, I think 109 in January. And everybody's like, strap in, we're going. And then it's kind of walked back down. But if you're nervous, this is the thing we always talk about in Bitcoin, because whatever is like normal today, or it stays normal for a prolonged period of time, that means it's consolidating. And so let's see. Let's look at the 1 year because this would be really good to look at. So that was a 6 month. And if we look at the 1 year, it, oh, that's the wrong one. Let's look at the 1 year. If you look at these charts, it's a lot easier to be like, oh, okay, I get it. So literally a year ago, oh, this is the 5 year. Okay, but if you look at just a year ago, so 2024, about the same time, I remember it was hitting 70. And then if you look at that, it just blasts around 70 until Trump did that. And then it went back up. And so right now, it's kind of sitting around 80s, 80, maybe, or it's just stuck in the 80s. And so at some point, in the same way as back in March, when we were, and literally we just got bored with it for 6 months, I think that's what's going to happen again. It's February, March, April, May, June, July. I'm guessing like September, October, we're going to get bored and then it's going to blast off again to like 150. And if you look at the last 5 years, I mean, this is a lot of just consolidating. And sometimes, like that, the thing about get rich quick, not crip, get rich quick in crypto, it works with meme coins and stupid crap. if for a little handful of people, but if you just buy and hold Bitcoin, we were bored with it 5 years ago and it was $10,000. And then this is the
Right.
same. In 5 years, it's gonna be like we were bored with it at 100,000 and now it's 800,000. And if you can use it as your piggy bank for the long term, this is a scarce asset that is being adopted, and we can talk about this later, by
Right.
the most powerful nation in the world, and it's going to be a gold rush.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think what happens oftentimes, if we had bought at 70, and many people did, and then a few months later it shot up to the 80s and it never went beyond there and it just sat there, everybody'd be like, man, this is great. I love it. Right.
Sure.
But but because it went up to, 103, 108, right? We get
Yeah.
spoiled and we go, oh man, now it's down only to 80. But we're not looking at the fact that we bought it at 70, right?
Yeah.
And we just made like 10K, 15K on it,
Sure.
right? In a few months. And now that's the new plateau. Right. And
Sure.
we just, and if that was the perspective, everybody would be happy. But because we had a little bit of taste of it going up to, 105, 108, and then it dropped down, it's like, oh man, this is terrible. It's actually not terrible. Right. I think we just have to recognize that, as you saw, when you zoomed out and you said, let's look at the last 5 years, this is not some, you know, crazy one-off that happens. It does happen, right? There's a bit of a pullback that happens, but we're
Right.
okay. Right. Now, of course, listen, when I bought in a bunch of years ago, I bought and then it dropped. And I was like, oh
Right.
my God, I think I lost maybe 60%, right, of my investment at that time. And I could have said like, oh, I'm selling it, but I held it. Right.
Yeah.
I just basically said, I'm going to put it under a rock. I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to walk away. And sure enough, now I'm happy. Right. I'm like
Yeah.
excited that I got it at the price I
Yeah.
got it at. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of, we have to have that long view to this, right? Not worry about what it's doing in the last month. If we stare
Right.
at it every day, you fall into the trap of being basically like a day trader, right? With
Right.
Bitcoin, don't be a day trader, right? You want to do that with your Trump, right? Coin, go do what you want to do with it, right? But don't do that with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin
Yeah.
is, as we've talked about, it's a long-term asset you're going to hold on to, that you're going to build generational wealth over, right? And so therefore, it's going to go up, it's going to go down.
Yeah.
But generally, when you zoom out to that map, you're going to see that it's just going to steadily climb. So don't fall into the trap, I think, is what I would say. Now,
Yeah.
there's a lot
I
of
do
stuff
think,
going on in the world, obviously, that
right.
kind of
I
stuff
think
that's
there's a
great.
lot of people, like Michael Saylor says, will always be buying the top. And so he was buying at 100, 105,
Right,
95.
right,
And there's a lot of other people that are doing it. I was buying the top a little bit, getting ready for,
right.
oh man, it's going to go. And so the majority of mine was bought much lower, but I did throw a chunk of money in at like, basically, I think it was like 98 or something.
Right,
And
right,
it does make you think when it's like 80, 75, especially if you're new to the space, if you haven't done this before. What did I do? Oh no. And if you can just relax. See, the problem is a lot of people throw money they might need in like the next 3 months into
right.
it and like, oh, we might as well because it's going to go up. But we just don't know. Nobody knows. And so our advice is always, hey, use money that you're going to just stick in savings anyway, or wherever you're going to try to hold and retain that value. And then you'll be set. Hold it for minimum of 3 to 5 years, if not more. And then you can see. I would say also in this podcast, you have to know what you're buying, because Bitcoin has gone up and then it's gone down, but Bitcoin is the gold standard. the other cryptos have fallen off a cliff. And I think
Right.
that's where the majority of people are freaking out. Have you seen that much?
Yeah, I think, well, everybody always, there's a few that I keep getting asked about. I keep getting asked about XRP is one of those things that I get asked about
Sure.
every single
Which
day,
has actually gone way up,
right?
which is interesting.
Which has gone up, right? And then I get asked about Ethereum all day long, right? And I think Ethereum just broke 2,000, right? Like a few
It's
days ago.
brutal.
Yeah, yeah, right. Listen,
Honestly, I don't think I would, at this point, recommend people own Ethereum. I just
yeah,
think let's look at the chart. It's right here. And Ethereum is running on Rails. It runs lots of like stable coins and NFTs and this kind of thing. But man, here it is. There's a lot that's going on it, but looking back, like literally, I mean, if you got in mid-July of 2020, it's 250, and then look at the rise that it did. And it just kept climbing. I remember multiple big names being like, "Yeah, I sold all my Bitcoin for Ethereum." And that's great if you got out in like mid 21 when it was $4,500,
right.
because look at what it's done. Literally, if you buy and hold Ethereum from November 21, like you're still underwater. And if you didn't get out when it was like 4,000, look at triple topped right here.
Right.
And now it's back at like early 21 levels and in the
Yeah.
middle of the bear market. It's just brutal. So I don't know. Would you recommend people buy Ethereum?
Yeah, you know what? I have this thing about anything that is not Bitcoin. You really need to understand what the utility is. What is it being used for? I think Ethereum has
Right.
great use case, right? Unfortunately, I don't think it has the push that it needs right now, right? I think that there's a certain level of I think people are unsure about Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really tied into what's happening in terms of the crypto world. It's regulations and compliance and all these other things, and what's the U.S. doing about it. I think the tariffs are hitting, but I think Ethereum, for the most part, has kind of been a lukewarm crypto.
Yeah.
It hasn't. Yeah, people were really excited when it hit 4,000, but I don't know if anybody was like so crazy excited about Ethereum. Right? I've
Yeah.
never met anybody who's like, man, that this is it. This is the one. I know you and I have talked about it as being the silver to the Bitcoin
Yeah.
gold. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess that's fine, but I'll be very honest with you. Even when it comes to real world assets, I'm not a big, huge silver guy anyway. Right? I'm
Right.
like,
It's true.
I'm going to buy gold every day. But that's the one if you're going
Right.
to give me a choice with the two. Right. And so
Yeah.
I think that's the case. And I don't think it's any different here. Um, and so, yeah, I think it's a really interesting time. I do. You know what, though? I worry about people who are just, they are day to day looking at new coins coming out and who are willing to put, I mean, people, there are a lot of gamblers, I realize, in this world.
Yeah.
And I tend to tell people, don't waste your money on some of these coins that are coming out. Like, you really need to investigate. You really need to understand, right? What is the use case for it, right? And most of them are kind of novel ideas, but generally speaking, most people don't have the knowledge or the seat at that table that is, the inside seat where you know enough about it to be able to make a really good decision whether something's good or not. Right. And so I tend to tell people, don't waste your money. Don't waste your money on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Unless you're the guy, like, part of the Trump's inner circle who knew that they were going to be launching, right, their crypto and made $1 million
Yeah.
in one day. Unless you're one of those people, don't throw your money at that, right? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
As much as I love what the administration is doing and talking about when it comes to the crypto world, right, and what they're talking, like what they want to do, Yeah, don't waste your money on that kind of nonsense. Honestly, put it into Bitcoin every day.
Yeah, unless you're one of the inner circle, and that's I'm really excited overall about the macro outlook of the USA. I'm a big Doge fan of the government efficiency, the fact that you can pull the website up and see what they're looking at, like line by line, is incredible. Because we've like for how many, like probably 100 years, just nobody has known what's going on, and so
Right.
we're doing that. The tariff thing is just causing havoc in the markets, and it is amazing to me that Mr. Marketplace Stock Exchange Trump is just okay with it. And it'll be interesting to see how long he's okay with it. Now, I would rather have a greater America for myself and my kids over the next 50 years and go through a little bit of pain right now uh, than just keep kicking the can down the road, because it's got to
Right.
happen. But it is causing a lot of chaos, and it'll be really interesting to see how long they're okay with that.
Well, I think that you are seeing the difference of those who are used to just immediate rewards as opposed to those who are okay having a long term view to things, right? So if you're and listen, this is there are millions of people. I was just on a call the other day. Millions of people who are living paycheck to paycheck. Well, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, this is really, really a difficult time,
For
right? For
sure.
you to have to deal with this. So there's things that you're going to be impacted by. Then there are those who are saying, and then even within that group, they're going to say it's really hard right now, but maybe I'm willing to kind of tighten the belt to figure it
Yeah.
out. And then there's the group of people who may not be directly impacted right away, saying, you know what? I do want that longer view. I do want it to be better for our kids. I think everybody will say they want it better for their kids. It's just kind of what's the pain tolerance today, right? And Doge is
For sure.
really testing your pain
Yeah.
tolerance. Um, however, right, I I have a problem with waste and fraud just in general. Right? Like
100%.
I really want to see my not have to pay create. I'm one of those people. I'll tell you, I want a flat tax, right? Like I would
Mm,
just wish everybody just paid. Hey, everybody pays their 15%,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
We don't need the IRS. Everybody automatically just pays their 15% no matter what. We move on with life, right? All
It's
good.
just on
And
the
I don't have to
website every year you pay. Yeah, here's your 13%, 15%. Oh, you like get a bill. That way it's not like, oh, I did my taxes and I hope I don't go to jail.
yeah,
Did
I
I
mean,
do
listen,
it
they can even
right? Like
make it
that's
even
the
more.
most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah, but it could be
Should be
even
at the end of
simpler
the
than
year.
that.
Here's your bill. Yeah.
Yeah, but listen, it could even be simpler than that. It could just be like, listen, I work. They already pull stuff out, right? Today,
Yeah.
just take
That's
50% out of
really
my
good.
paycheck. I never have to even look at it, right? Never have to
Yeah.
worry about it, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of one of those people. Like, I just think that
I
that's
like
where
it.
we probably need to get to. President Trump talked about anybody who makes, $150,000 or less doesn't pay any tax. I don't know if President Trump did it or one of his,
Yeah.
one of his guys on his team said that. I don't know
Right.
about that, right? However,
Yeah.
there's a way. I well, then we never have to worry about these kind of things, right? And so we don't have to
Right.
worry about waste and fraud. And when they're like, your taxes were going from 15 to 18%, I'd be like, no, it's not. Why do we need to have a bigger government? But like,
Right.
prove it to me, right? Show me why, right? And so I think that's kind of where we probably need to get to. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I think that there's a lot of great things happening from the US side with regards to crypto that I think we should be super
Yes.
excited about, right? I
For
think
sure.
there's a potentially new chairperson for the SEC, right?
Right.
Gensler's gone. Hooray.
Yeah.
What was it? The Wicked Witch of the West is gone. I don't know, the East,
Yeah.
whichever way it's
Yeah.
from, but
Yeah.
I kind of think that he was terrible for crypto. I mean, I don't know how many different companies they had gone after with regards to like penalizing them and just fining them and all kinds of, I think, craziness that really killed our ability to be competitive in the global market. So I think there's a new chairperson coming in who's like super bullish on just pushing our technology and pushing us being really leaders in the space. So I think his name is Paul Atkins, and yeah, and so uh, and obviously, right, the Bitcoin Reserve uh, executive order that President Trump. I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit, but I think that's
Yeah.
potential huge.
Yeah. Oh, like if you pay attention and don't stare at the price all day and just look at the moves that are being made, big picture, like it'd be ridiculous not to have Bitcoin. Now, I hate that Trump launched Trump coin and then Melania coin and
I thought that
just
was terrible.
like that was literally everything wrong with the
Right.
crypto space. And he was just like, oh, yeah, I'll do this. Just, I don't know. Yeah. And it's a money grab. And he made like more money in that than in his entire career. Just makes me sick.
Well,
But
it wasn't only him. It
go
was
ahead.
like Dave Portnoy and all these guys are in on
Well,
it, and they're making like
it wasn't Trump coin. It was like, oh, he can do that. So then it is Portnoy and 1,000 other people that are like, oh, I can do it too. Which is
connect.
just ridiculous. You're the leader of the free world. Why would you do that?
I thought that was a terrible, terrible thing for idea. And somebody, I don't know who was in the background with did this terrible idea. I think maybe it was his son, Barron. But
Yeah, maybe.
for the most part, listen, there was no difference between that and what was that hot Tua girl who put out the coin, right?
Exactly. Who has
There's
been like
absolutely
blacklisted from everything. And
yeah, there's
she
absolutely no
can't show her
difference
face, but
between the two.
Trump is fine. Yeah,
Right. Those two, and listen, I love the president. I love what he's doing. I thought that was one of
me
the
too.
most like terrible ideas. And so I would say to that decision, worst decision so far.
Negative. Trump coin sucks.
Yeah.
Because it does rug pull
Yeah.
1,000 other people and it sets a terrible precedent. But the macro overall of, I remember I was in Tennessee last summer and he spoke and he said, we're going to do Bitcoin Reserve. Not only Trump, because I think Trump gets it, but I'm not 100% sure. But there are just sharp people around him. Vance owns Bitcoin. Kennedy, huge Bitcoin guy. Obviously, Musk owns Bitcoin. Like, I think everybody around him's like, okay, we get it. So the fact that I think I like this too, and it shocked me a little bit because of the Trump coin and other things. But he said, hey, we're going to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and then we're going to have separately a crypto asset stockpile with other stuff in it. And I think that's really good. Somebody smart, and it's David Sachs, who is like the crypto czar. He's really sharp. All in, one of my favorite podcasts. But he's sharp and he gets it. And I'm sure, was like rolling over, just dying when Trump coin launched because Sachs actually sold all of his crypto assets before he became the crypto czar because he didn't want anybody be like, he's trying to get rich. He's just like, no, so he's literally done away for the next 4 years with all crypto, which I believe is going to go up exponentially. And
Right.
he's just like, no, I'm going to lay it down. And that's amazing versus the president who launched a meme coin. But anyways.
Well, and now but I will tell you though, you just named, I think, two reasons why we should be super bullish, right, about Bitcoin and crypto, right? First is he surrounded himself with super smart people who are all pro crypto, right, and pro
Right.
Bitcoin, right? Everybody on his team, for the most part, they are all in, right? And those are the people who have his ear, and I think that that's a great sign. The second thing is, yeah, it was a stupid thing to do, but he did it. Okay. And someone who is dead set against it and doesn't want to see that environment and space flourish wouldn't do something like that. Right. So when he's going out and buying like a bunch of people at a bar burgers using Bitcoin, or when he's going out and he's doing something is, he didn't do it, somebody on his team did it, but he definitely okayed it because
Right.
there's no replay. He doesn't know
Yeah.
that's happening with his name on it, right?
Right.
So he's done everything that we look at and we go, hey man, if it's I'm buying no matter what the price is right now. All right. So he is pushing every button. If you're reading his actions, right now,
Yeah.
and as you said, things are we're not seeing that extreme bullish market right now because we see some, variables out there. How's the market going to react to the tariffs that's coming up, right? Like
Right.
we're going to see some of this stuff coming up in April. Like we're just seeing some of like what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. You hear North Korea just stole like $1.5 billion they hacked, and like you see a lot of things that are going on, and you say, okay, well, I expect that like I had expected something different, but right now it's kind of just, leveled off. We're on a plateau right now. I think
Yeah.
that everything, all the sides, if we were to just look at it for a second, we'd pause and say, you know what? Everything is being prepared for, I think, the next 12 to 18 months. I think we're just going to see some real significant moves. And so if people aren't on it right now, it's a great time. It's always a great time. But I think,
That's
especially
true.
right now, I think the next now we're at 3 years at 8 months. I don't know what's what's left.
Right.
But I think that we're going to just see some incredible movement. And now's the time to do it. If anybody's on the fence, take your 2% of your portfolio, right? We've always talked about you're investing for long term, take 2% of your long term investments, right? Put it into Bitcoin. And then,
Yeah.
come back and look at it in 4 years and see how you feel about it. That's what I would
Right.
say.
I have multiple people that I have a guy that just bought a whole coin about 95,000. But I
Okay.
told him we were sitting at coffee and I said, hey, I would buy it. If I didn't have any, I'd buy it. But you have to
Right.
be okay if it drops 20K and then it drops another 10K. He's like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We haven't talked much since then. But I'm hoping that it is. It's like, hey, you almost have to look at it as sunk cost if like you did for literally you waited a couple of years and then finally got back to where it was. I have
Right.
other people that literally buy weekly, like that's their thing. I have a buddy of mine and his wife, they literally buy their own accounts and they buy weekly and they like compete at how low they can buy it on a certain day. It's like their game. And that's probably the smartest way. Unless it drops and you can what they call knife catch, you get that bottom and it's like, oh, I bought it when it was recently when it was like 75 and now it's 80, whatever, 86, and I'm doing awesome.
Right.
So yeah. But I think you're right. It's that long-term goal. Don't be stacking Trump coin and Doge. You should be stacking Bitcoin primarily. And then if
Well,
you believe in a project or you see something else, then that's great.
and your friend, I'm pretty confident will reach out to you when it hits 125. He'll be like,
Oh
"Hey man,
yeah, it'd be the greatest thing.
yeah." And right, he's gonna be like, and even if it's 12 months from now, if it's at
Yeah.
125, he's gonna be like, "Man, this was a great investment. I really appreciate you
Awesome.
directing me to buy.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're the
for
best.
sure.
Can I buy you
For sure.
coffee?"
Yes, please more. Hey,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
we're gonna wrap it up, but we're back. We're gonna work on, I think, being pretty consistent here and work on a few things. Are you looking forward to anything?
Listen, I know that you and we've been, even though that we haven't been on in a while, we've been working on a lot of stuff. So I think we got some great announcements that are coming up. We have some great
Yeah.
partnerships and relationships that we've been building. And so we have a lot of great content that's coming. So I'm excited about it. Excited about talking some new things. I think the next 6 months it's going to be incredible, right? An incredible journey.
Yeah.
And so just really excited that everybody gets, that we get to walk along with everybody.
Yeah. I would say the same. I'm really excited for the next 6 to 12 to 24 months. I think it's going to be really exciting. I think there's new stuff on the playing field that wasn't here a couple of years ago or even a year ago. And I'm looking forward to talking about maybe some new ideas in the crypto space. I'll always talking with newbies about just how to get in and how to buy Bitcoin and how to hold it and all of those things. And it's a good time to be in this space. Being in crypto in the 2020s and on is like being at the gold rush when they're running to San Francisco and trying to like pull it all out of the ground. Like that, you can't do that anymore. And we're at the same time of like only huge, think about that. Most major companies are pulling money out of the ground with gold, not just individual dudes. And you're before basically BlackRock and all the other ones happened a year ago, and they're still trying to catch up. And so you still have time as an individual to stack your sats and to plan for your family's future.
Absolutely. Keep educating yourself.
Awesome. All right. Hey, we will see you.
We're here to help. So
we're here to help. Reach out, comment, like, and subscribe. This channel is going to blow up to maybe like 100 people by next year. So you're going to want to be on this. You're not going to want to